So, we finally made it. We've talked about the jockey, the spitter, the smoker, the hunter, the tank, and all the rest. And now it's time for the last special infected on the list. The big, beefy, one-armed monstrosity that crashes into your team like a drunk uncle through drywall. The Charger. This guy is honestly one of the most fascinating infected in the entire Left 4 Dead lineup. He's terrifying, hilarious, and depending on whether you're the one playing him or the one getting hit by him, either the MVP of your run or the biggest screw you moment of the night. So let's break him down the same way we've done with the others. Gameplay mechanics, his design, lore and pre-infection theories, and of course the jokes that practically write themselves when a dude has one arm the size of a tree trunk. We're gonna begin with gameplay mechanics. The Charger's whole gimmick is momentum. He's literally designed to punish survivors who aren't paying attention or who are standing just a little too close together. When he winds up that bull charge, you'd better hope you're out of the way, because once you're in his path, you're getting sent straight to the Shadow Realm. Here's how it works. He charges forward at insane speed, grabs the first survivor he collides with, and slams them into the ground like he's reenacting a WWE finishing move. And unlike most special infected, the Charger isn't just a single target threat. He can plow through multiple survivors at once. Anyone else standing in his way gets launched across the map, tumbling like ragdolls until they hit the floor and are forced into a stumble animation. And here's the kicker. While they're stumbling, they can't shoot. They're basically helpless for a good second or two. That is where the real danger comes in. A smart Charger player doesn't just blindly run into the group. He times that slam for when the survivors are bunched up, hit them together, scatter the team, and suddenly one unlucky victim is being pounded into paste while the rest are trying to pick themselves up. And if you coordinate with a spitter, it's essentially a death sentence. The Charger slam will pin a survivor in place while the others are too busy stumbling. Then the spitter lays down a pool of acid right underneath the pile. What happens? Survivors can go from full health to instantly in-cap in a matter of seconds. It's one of the nastiest, most effective combos in Left 4 Dead 2, and if done right, it can completely wipe a team in under 10 seconds. And the best part? Unlike the jockey who needs finesse or the hunter who requires precision, the Charger rewards raw chaos. Sometimes just running straight at the survivors works better than overthinking it. He's the ultimate low effort, high reward infected, until you slam into a wall and instantly die, of course. Now, let's talk about how the Charger looks, because honestly, his design is absolute nightmare fuel. He's this hulking, asymmetrical beast with one arm that's absurdly overdeveloped, like a bodybuilder who forgot to switch arms on arm day. His giant right arm is fused with bone, muscle, and growths that look both grotesque and powerful, while his left arm hangs tiny and shriveled, almost vestigial. The Charger's design screams imbalance. Unlike the sleek hunter or the lanky smoker, this guy looks like nature's cruel joke, as if the infection didn't know how to stop mutating him. And that's kind of what makes him so memorable. He's the embodiment of brute force with no subtlety. In my opinion, Valve absolutely nailed the psychology of his design. Survivors immediately understand what he does just by looking at him. That giant arm? Yeah, he's going to hit you with it. That uneven, stomping run? He's built to move in a straight line, and heaven help if you're standing in it. Now, this is where things get fun. The Charger, like the other special infected, raises the question, what kind of person actually becomes this infected? Some fans theorize he was a construction worker, maybe someone who spent his days lifting heavy materials, swinging sledgehammers, or doing repetitive heavy labor tasks that built up his upper body strength unevenly. His body was already conditioned to favor one side, and the green flu amplified it to monstrous proportions. Others suggest he might have had a genetic disorder or physical condition that led to one side of his body being stronger than the other. The infection just pushed it to the extreme, mutating him into this lopsided juggernaut. And yes, now we talk about the joke theory. Yeah, you knew this was coming. What if the Charger was just, a little too dedicated to, exercising his right hand? Let's just say before infection, he may have been the MVP of No Nut November, and when the virus took over, it really leaned into his training routine. Suddenly, boom, the biggest forearm in gaming. Obviously that's a joke, but admit it, you thought it too. Now here's something really unique about the Charger. Unlike most special infected who just grunt, hiss, or laugh, the Charger's vocalizations sometimes sound like actual words. They're not crystal clear, but players swear they can make out lines like "don't shoot me," "I'm not controlling it," or "this thing's out of control." Some even joked that he shouts "mustachio," which honestly I kind of want to believe because it makes him the ultimate carnival mascot gone wrong. Of course, the devs never confirmed that these are real coherent words. Most likely it's just distorted groaning that the human brain tries to interpret as speech, kind of like hearing voices in static. But the fact that so many people think they hear full sentences adds an eerie layer to the Charger. If he is trying to talk, then maybe some tiny piece of his old self is still trapped in there, screaming for help while the green flu forces his body to charge headfirst into walls. And honestly, that's way more terrifying than him just being a big dumb brute. The Charger's role in the infected roster is brilliant. While the Hunter and Jockey isolate survivors, and the Smoker pulls them out of formation, the Charger exists to break formation entirely. He scatters survivors, punishes groups, and creates chaos in an instant. He's the definition of area denial. You can't just stand around bunched up in a hallway or rooftop corner, because if a Charger barrels in, you're absolutely done. He's not subtle, he's not tactical, he's not delicate, he's a living wrecking ball that forces survivors to stay on their toes. And unlike the tank, who's big and intimidating but slow, the Charger has speed. You might hear his stomp or his deep bellow, but by the time you realize he's coming, you're already halfway across the map with your ribs shattered. Here's the thing, the Charger isn't scary because of jump scares like the Witch, or because of psychological dread like the Jockey. He's scary because of his unpredictability. 1 second, your team is perfectly fine, guns blazing, and the next, bam, the Charger slams through. Your group is separated, one person's pinned, and your whole run goes down the drain. That's what makes him stand out. He's chaos incarnate, and chaos is the one thing survivors can't always plan for. And honestly, that's what makes him one of the most fun special infected to play as. Because unlike the Smoker or Hunter who usually rely on ambushes, the Charger is pure momentum. He's push the big red button and hope something stupidly funny happens. You can charge in like an absolute maniac, clip one survivor, miss the rest, and still completely ruin the round because your sheer momentum throws everyone into panic mode. Even if you don't land the perfect slam, you've still caused confusion, and confusion is deadly in Left 4 Dead. And as we've previously mentioned, it's incredibly important to not forget his ability to plow through multiple survivors, as it's something that no other special infected can really do in the same way. The Boomer might scatter people by blinding them, the tank might separate the team with raw power, but the Charger physically moves the survivors against their will. He takes away their ability to control positioning, which in a game about coordination and movement is brutal. When the Charger hits, he launches survivors across the room, knocking them flat, forcing them into the stumble animations where again they can't shoot back. And that's the exact opening the rest of the infected need to close in. The Charger's synergy with the Spitter is absolutely incredible. A good Charger-Spitter combo is the stuff of nightmares. He slams someone into the ground, pins them down, and the Spitter drops acid right underneath. Survivors also don't get any invincibility frames when they get up after being grabbed by the Charger, which allows Spitter acid to damage them while they can't move at all. This setup literally rivals the Smoker Jockey setups or the Boomer Horde chaos. It's so effective that when it works, you can almost hear the survivors groan through the screen. Of course they had a Spitter waiting. But the best part about the Charger is that he isn't perfect. He's clumsy, he's unwieldy, and he's honestly kind of dumb. His giant arm makes him look terrifying, sure, but it also makes him one of the easiest infected to laugh at. How many times have you seen a Charger line up this menacing sprint, roar like he's about to bring down the apocalypse, only to slam face first into a wall, or get stuck in a door frame, or miss completely and just keep running until he crashes into the far end of the map? He's both terrifying and hilarious, sometimes in the same breath. And that's where the humor of the Charger really shines. He's like that one guy in your group project who has no subtlety whatsoever. But when he shows up, he makes a scene whether you want him to or not. And yeah, maybe his massive right arm is from some pre-infection hobbies we all know about. But let's be real, Valve had to know what they were doing when they gave him one arm the size of a Ford F-150. The Charger is the only infected that could walk into a doctor's office pre-infection and be like, "Yeah, doc, I think I've been overusing this limb." Jokes aside though, that design choice is pure genius. It tells you exactly who the Charger is just by looking at him. Raw, uneven, lopsided power. He doesn't need finesse, he doesn't need balance, he just barrels forward and wrecks everything in his path. And you know what? He fills a role in the special infected roster that no one else really does. Hunters are precision, jockeys are control, boomers are chaos, smokers are traps, spitters are denial zones, tanks are brute force, and witches are environmental hazards. But the Charger, he's disruption, pure unfiltered disruption. He's the one who says, "Hey, you thought you were safe in this tight little hallway? Think again." When you think about it, the Charger is kind of the great equalizer in versus mode. Even if the survivor team is perfectly coordinated, even if they're steamrolling through hordes and specials, all it takes is one poorly timed Charger hit to bring everything crashing down. And that's why people love playing him, because sometimes chaos is the best weapon you have. But let's play some what ifs for a second. Imagine if the Charger wasn't so clumsy with his charge. What if he had full steering control like a shopping cart with 4 working wheels instead of just one squeaky one? Forget tanks. He'd be the most broken special infected in the entire game. You'd be playing left for dodgeball, just constantly trying not to get pancaked. Or, picture this, a Charger with better teamwork instincts. Right now, he kind of just YOLOs into the fight, which is funny, but if he waited for a smoker to grab someone or a spitter to lay down acid, he'd be 10 times scarier, and I think we'd all be uninstalling the game after one campaign. And honestly, with all of that being said, the Charger is one of the most iconic special infected in Left 4 Dead 2. I think if you ask someone that didn't even play the game if they knew where the Charger was from, 99.9% of them would know it's a Left 4 Dead infected. He isn't perfect, he isn't elegant, but he is memorable. And when you hear that bellow echo across the map, your blood pressure spikes. You can't help but tense up because you know in about 3 seconds, either you or one of your teammates is about to get flattened into the nearest wall like a Looney Tunes character. So, as I wrap this up, this video marks the final chapter in my series covering every special infected in Left 4 Dead 2. We've talked about the spitter, the jockey, the smoker, the tank, and now the Charger. And looking back, I think the Charger might actually be the best way to end this series, because he represents the essence of what makes Left 4 Dead so much fun. Chaos, unpredictability, and teamwork being tested under absolute nonsense. Because at the end of the day, the Charger is less of a polished predator and more of a wild card. He's the drunk uncle at the family reunion, loud, destructive, unpredictable, and somehow still the highlight of the night. He's the reminder that in Left 4 Dead, things can and will go wrong, usually in the funniest and most devastating ways possible. So next time you're running through a campaign and you hear that roar in the distance, just remember, it's not just a Charger, it's a moment waiting to happen. A story you'll tell your friends, and probably the reason you'll be restarting the level for the 3rd time tonight. And with that, that's the Charger, the last of the special infected we had left to cover. I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into these iconic monsters, and don't worry, I'm not done with Left 4 Dead content. There are still plenty of theories, breakdowns, and maybe even some wild what-if scenarios I'll be covering. But for now, pour one out for our big-armed, wall-smashing chaos machine, because love him or hate him, the Charger will always leave an impact.